once you're done with your PhD, and I know, there are certain stages in PhD. So if I talk about the penultimate stage, that's where you submit your thesis, right? So I know many institutes in India, they will accept you and they will hire you in that stage also. So they will permit you to come and work for them even after you have submitted your thesis. So the final stage, which is about defending your thesis, once you're done with that, then I think almost every college in India is ready to hire you. I'm talking about Indian scenario. I'm not talking about abroad countries, but in Indian scenario, in Indian setup, you will be suited for finding a job in the education sector. You can be hired there. Thinking about colleges, yes, this is a very important task. You should know which colleges you are trying to eye, right? Because this can make a difference in your career. But again, remember, when you are looking for a college, there are certain metrics that you should look at. So there are certain things that these colleges give you. The data about, let's say, their overall ranking in the QS World Ranking, right? So you should see that. You should see whether a particular institute has been accredited by AACSB. So that's an authority that sort of, collects all the parameters, and then they evaluate your institute, and then they give you certain marks on that. Then accordingly, they credit you with an A category or a B category or whatever the categories are. So you have to look for that. Then secondly, you have to look at the general faculties that are there in that particular institute. What's their designation? What's their qualification? So that's basically to assess the kind of crowd you're going to be with when you're going to go and teach there, right? And secondly, lastly, it's about the students, right? So at students, I think it doesn't really matter much because they are just coming there. What matters the most is these 3 or 4 parameters. First is their world ranking. Second is whether they are AICSB credited or not. Thirdly, what's the quality of the faculty? When I say quality, I'm trying to say which backgrounds are they coming from and what sort of background it's not just the education background, it's also their work background. Are they coming from a very experienced background, or have they got a really bright this thing publications record? All of those things play a very, very pivotal role in selecting your college, because remember, after all, at the end, the ranking of your university will depend on the research output you're giving, and the research output is a complete duty of the faculty who are working there. So if your faculty isn't really publishing very decently, then your quality, then the institute's ranking fall, right? So this is one important thing that you should be keeping in your mind, because remember, when you are in an institute, you're also concerned about its future aspects, future growth also. So if you have a decent bunch of faculty there, then you'll know that it will grow in the future. It's not going to go a downward path. It's definitely going to go upwards, right? So these are the things I think these are the 4 important parameters one should look at. This is what I looked at when I was looking for decent places. I think that should be done. Again, don't be, see, again, there is one more important aspect to it. There are few situations where I've seen many students, they are just sitting idle after completing their PhD because they wanted to get into an IIT or an IIM. So never ever think that way, right? That shouldn't be taking, because this is a myth, right? Because I have seen such tremendously talented people. They are teaching in very, very good institutes. It's just that, unfortunately, India is a place where there is something known as herd mentality, right? So, you cannot really work around with that because you're in a country which is having such a high population. And that also becomes an issue because, here the thing is, once a thing gets established, it's the thing that is talked about. But then, mind my words, I know many institutes that are really growing progressively. Like if you look at their rankings also, then their ranking is way above the normal, Indian institutes and everything. So that's why I say that always look at the ranking, the world ranking. That will give you the correct picture of where your institute is standing and what are its future aspects. And never ever sit idle just because you're not getting into an IIT. This is a plain lame decision. Don't do that. You're wasting out on your precious years just because you're not getting into those two I's. It doesn't really mean anything because it really doesn't add anything to your profile, right? You should always be working the moment, because PhD itself has taken up such a heavy amount of your life. It's like years and years of working and studying. So don't waste any more years of again looking out for that opportunity, because opportunities are standing on your path. You have to use that.